Hi, welcome to Brady MonEight, December 5th, 2016. After last week's entry, I decided to be more prepared and have my ideas more in advance, and in the process came up with too many ideas. So I'm trying to sum them down. I definitely want to keep posting these because I'm seeing more benefit in just trying to come up with the idea. That to me is giving me a benefit, and that's why I'll keep posting these for myself or for the benefit of whoever listens to them. But this week, my mind is drawn towards analogies. I like analogies because they help us relate things we already understand to other things that can give us benefit. One of those analogies that I like is to keep your eye on the ball. I play sports. I like golf and frisbee, and one of the biggest things they teach in sports is to keep your eye focused on the ball. And I think that's so significant because our eye is like an interesting part of our anatomy in that it really functions to give the rest of our body reference. Have you ever tried to keep your balance on one foot with your eyes closed or with your eyes moving around to lots of different places? It's really difficult. But if you pin your eye on one spot, it's a lot easier to keep your balance because the rest of your body now has a reference. And I think that that can apply to a lot of things. I have a couple analogies that are real similar. I'll try to reconcile them together, but um, one of them I like to think of is I call the journey to the moon analogy. Say you were trying to go to the moon in a spaceship. Um, what would you need for navigation? Really, just the sight of the moon. And you just see it there, like that scene from Apollo 13, where all they do is shoot the boosters until it's right there in the window, and then you know you're heading towards it. As long as you can see it, you know where you're heading. Um, but the interesting thing to me is that as we journey towards a destination that far, at first we pin our eye on it and we think we're heading straight for it. But maybe 6 months later or however long, you'll lift your head up and realize that you're not actually heading straight at it. You're kind of drifting off to the side. And so it's time to reevaluate, hit your boosters again, realign, and head towards that moon again. And then again, later on, you'll lift your head up and realize, oh, I wasn't headed straight at it. And so your path to that moon will actually look like a zigzag, not headed straight at it, but you'll still get there. And so a couple things I draw from that is, A, at some point you just need to pick a direction and go, even though it's probably not going to be exactly right, but you're still making progress. And B, the other thing I pull from that is um, that at some point it's good to reevaluate what you're doing, but not discount what you've already done, and and accept the fact that something that you have done or a strategy you have picked was correct at the time, but isn't anymore. I like to relate that to studies, in school or in music that I've studied. At some point, an exercise that you're doing is not beneficial anymore. That doesn't mean it was wrong. That doesn't mean that you can't share that exercise with newer students that are trying to learn that specific skill. But at some point, it has expired. It is no longer necessary, and it's time to reevaluate, come up with new strategies in a new direction. And those, again, will be a little off, and someday those strategies won't be good anymore. But at the time, they are. And that's why it's good to reevaluate, lift your head, check your direction and your course, and continually make adjustments, and yet don't give up and stop. And that brings me to another analogy, which is very similar, and that is if you're going on a hike and you're trying to get to a peak, and that's your goal. You have your eye on that goal. I'm trying to hike to this mountain, and you start heading towards the mountain, and then all of a sudden, your path, the trail that's going there, maybe goes down through a valley, and then goes through another little up, and then another little valley. And there may be times during that journey where it actually appears, and you actually might be getting farther from your destination because you're going down that valley, and it seems like you're not making progress. But instead of turning around and heading back towards that last place that seemed like it was the best because it was on a hill and had a best view of that peak, it's still good to just keep moving forward through those low times and get to the next peak and realize, oh, I am getting closer, and keep moving forward and not let the fact that maybe the peak goes out of view or that it's not as easy to go up as it was to go down deter you. So those are my thoughts for myself, and they remind me to reevaluate and constantly keep your eye on the prize. Those are my thoughts today.